Welcome to the AngelsWin.com podcast, featuring Jeff Stoddard and AngelsWin.com founder Chuck Richter. And now, here's Jeff Stoddard.
Oh, it's that time. Episode 54 of the Angels Win podcast. My name is Jeff Stoddard. Welcome to the show. I'm joined as always by AngelsWin.com founder Chuck Richter, and back for his second visit for this 2025 season. He joined us right before the season began. We're thrilled to have Trent Rush back on the podcast with us. Trent, welcome back.
It's great to be here. Appreciate you guys. I wish I had a bourbon like Chuck does, but it's a game night. You got the red wine here. We got the bourbon there. I'm drinking some agua over here, trying to keep the pipes nice and lubricated before Angels recap after the game.
Well, we talked about it, Trent, how in spring training, how we got to get you on during the off season. And then you can get it. We talked about all the different scotches that you like and the bourbon. And then we got to get you a good scotch on one of these in the off season.
That we could do. I'm not touching. I'm off bourbon, so I'm not touching that. But I'll have some single malt with you.
All right. Whiskey tasting with Trent Rush in the off season. I like it. I like it.
Awesome.
Well, welcome back. We're thrilled to be here. We are approaching the trade deadline, gentlemen, which I believe happens on Thursday. Yes, Chuck?
Yeah.
Is it midnight Eastern time?
No. I believe it's 6 Eastern, right, Trent?
Well, it's either 3:00 Eastern or 3:00 Pacific. It's 3:00 somewhere. So.
All right. So it's Thursday afternoon,
Yeah.
evening at some point. All right. So excited to talk about this. We started jabbering a little bit. We're like, okay, stop. Let's save this for the podcast, because the questions really become, what is the team going to do? What are they not going to do? The Angels are currently sitting at 52 and 55. They're in fourth place in the AL West. They're 8 games behind the Astros, and they're 4.5 games outside of the wild card right now. They seem to have an extreme allergy to getting above 500. Anytime they approach it and they've got that game that's going to push them over the top, they seem to fall back again, and then they kind of climb up and then back. It's hard to know what this team should do. And, do they make a move? One, if they do, are they making a move for this year and potentially trying to make a run for the postseason? Or are they looking to make a move for maybe the future, for next year and the years after? And gentlemen, I've got no answers. So Chuck, I think I'll throw it over to you first and, see what you think they should do.
Well, we were just talking about this, but I really think it's contingent on the next 2 games, and maybe even what Boston does the next 2 games too, right? Who we're trailing. So if Boston wins the next 2 games, the Angels lose the next 2 games, you're looking at, I think on Thursday there'll be some deals, and I think the Angels will be in sell mode. If there's a split, if the Angels win the next 2 games, who knows? I mean, they're not going to buy, and you guys can all chime in with your opinions. They're not going to buy any high-priced, they don't have the prospects to get a high-end player, right? So they got to go kind of that mid-tier, the low to mid-tier. Maybe AJ Hauser, starting pitcher, maybe a relief pitcher, some position players like Laureano, who's just killed the Angels over the years. It'd be nice to have him on our team. Great defensive outfielder, strong arm, and he's hitting the ball really well for Baltimore this year too. So that fills a need, especially in right field. So who knows? I mean, we just kind of got to let these things play out over the next couple of days. And Trent, let me kick this over to you. What do you feel? I mean, say they split, say they win, they win at the next 2 games. The Detroit Tigers, last year they went into the deadline with the winning record, right? They were doing well, and they were in sell mode, and everybody's like, "What the heck are you doing?" But they had guys in the system, and they were able to sell those players that were rolling off, right? They were free agents at the end of the season and just kind of bring up their own, right? And so there's also a possibility the Angels could go that route too, where they sell off their guys that are, in a contract year. They're not going to, sign with the Angels. They're going to be free agents. And then they bring up their own guys, to hopefully replace them. And then maybe replace those guys with some mid-tier guys. I mean, what do you think, Trent?
I think that we're spending a lot of time talking about the trade deadline, and I've been asked about the trade deadline for 6 weeks, and here we are. And if the Angels were to get a sweep of Texas, okay, it would mean not only sweeping a division foe, it would mean also beating Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. So they've already beaten deGrom. So if you're the Angels, let's say the Angels finish a sweep of Texas. Then you got the White Sox coming in. I think they've won like 9 home games, or 9 road games, I should say, all year. It's like it's not that low, but it's something ridiculously low like that.
Yeah.
And then, you have a game against Tampa, a series against the Rays, and there they go, and they're right there in the mix too. You'd mentioned, Chuck, watching Boston. That's the thing. You're not just watching Boston right now. You're watching Seattle, you're watching Tampa, you're watching Cleveland, you're watching Minnesota, you're watching Kansas City. Like, there's all these teams that are right there. So you got to jump a lot. And I guess what I'm getting at is if you sweep Texas and you beat deGrom and Eovaldi, you got the White Sox coming in, okay, maybe we can make a bit of a push here. But regardless, I don't see the Angels making any kind of rental acquisition. They might, but I don't see that as being in the cards. Any kind of buy they could make, I would think, would be with 2026 and 2027 in mind, just because the odds aren't great of getting to the postseason, but it's been a long playoff drought. And if you have a chance to get a jump start on the winner, maybe you could use this deadline to do that. So that's kind of how I see what a buy would look like. I don't even know if I love using the term buy. And even on if the Angels end up selling, I don't see a major sell-off here. Maybe they end up trading a couple of relievers. If they were to, if they lose the next 2 nights, or if they go 1-1 and they're still 4+ games out, maybe we could see something like that. But I don't really think it's going to be a very dramatic deadline one way or the other. I don't think they're going to acquire the big-time player. I don't think they're going to trade away anybody that has, going to be around for a while. And they may very well stand pat. And if the Angels could somehow be 500 at the trade deadline, we got to look at the bigger picture here and the progress the organization is making. And if you're able to build with pieces that can help you get closer to a championship, whether it's this year, whether it's the year after, whether it's the year after that, I think that's kind of the approach the Angels will take here.
That makes a lot of sense. Is there obviously, I'm not saying that you have secret inside knowledge from, from being around, but is, from what's happening up in the front office, but at the player level, at the coaching level, is there a buzz with people talking about what they would like to see the team do? Obviously that's a weird thing to say, because when you're talking about your team making moves, it might mean that the guy sitting in the locker next to you is packing and walking out the door. So that's kind of weird conversations. But is there any kind of chatter, feeling, emotion that you're getting from the players or coaches of what they might be hoping for?
Well, so everyone wants to stay. And that's not the Angels. That's all 30 teams. Everybody wants to stay where they're at. They don't want to see their lives disrupted. Okay. Generally speaking, in years past, when I've been around the club, go a couple days into the trade deadline, and that you're going to be a seller, there is a tension around the clubhouse that day. It can be kind of awkward. You're not sure. Are they going to call me into the office? There is that feeling most years. I don't think this year there's any of that at all. The only comments I've heard was what Taylor Ward said publicly after the game on Monday night, saying that he wanted to stay and didn't want to be traded. That was the only thing that I've really heard. And sometimes some of that tension is unspoken and you can just kind of feel it. I really don't get that sense at all with this team. I think everybody also understands the only way that you're going to stay is if you win. if you're not winning, then they're going to find new players that can. And that is across the board in baseball, not just the Angels. And I think that this team is shown that they're winning more than they have been winning, but there's still a lot more winning left to do to get to where this club wants to be.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of assumptions too that, the folks that are on the side of buying, on the side of selling, that they're going to get the same type of returns they got last year for Estevez and Garcia, right? It doesn't always work out that way, right? I mean, it's just every year's different. Every year they got a different crop of prospects, and so I do like to hear guys like Kenley Johnson saying, "Hey, I want to stay." That's cool, Now sign it.
But Kenley's totally different than Carlos Estevez, though.
Yeah,
they're at like such different points in their lives, different points in their careers. So I think that I don't think the Kenley return would be what the Carlos Estevez return it was. I also don't know that, like, you have to make that deal happen. Like, Kenley can almost pick and choose where he'd want to go, and he might not want to go somewhere else, especially if he's not going to be the closer. So I don't know. I don't think there's as many fits for Kenley as there might have been for Estevez a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your feelings, Trent and Jeff, about maybe, trading a Taylor Ward or Reed Detmers or a Joe Adell? I've seen their names floated around. I mean, honestly, we're starting to see the turnaround for Joe Adell. It would stink to see him continue what he's doing and then even, exceed what he's doing this year, next year. And then here's a guy that we drafted the first round. Same with Reed Detmers, right? So, I mean, I feel like the Angels would need to just be overwhelmed in a trade with just a bunch of loaded top end prospects coming back to deal any of those guys. I mean, maybe not so much Taylor Ward. I think if we can get one guy that we can plug and play that's younger in return, hopefully maybe an outfielder, because they're really weak in their farm system and outfield depth, especially close to the big leagues. I think that would be a great trade for the Angels. What are your thoughts on any of those guys getting moved in a package for top prospects?
Jeff, you want to go first? Or you want me to take?
I'll weigh in with this. I feel like for the last month and a half to 2 months, the Angels Twitter, right? Like as a whole across the platform, most nights when Ward does something good, right? Lots of home runs, lots of RBIs, timely hits, that kind of thing. It's kind of like there's this collective, yes, here comes the trade value that we can get for him, right? And it was a little bit of the same thing with Joe Adell. When he kind of started getting hot at the plate, it's like, okay, well, does this overshadow some of the challenges that he's been having in the outfield all year? Although he made a fantastic catch the other night, which was great. Would love that to see, to be the norm and not the exception. But as he's, really producing at the plate, you're like, okay, well, what do we do, right? Like, do we cash in on this now while it seems to be hot and roll the dice that he doesn't get better and that this is kind of the peak and get something? I'm going to be honest, guy. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I would do.
Jeff, I think I can help you. Okay.
Please do. That's why you're here.
I'm going to answer Chuck's question with a question for you guys. Do you think the Angels can be a playoff team in 2026?
Yes. Well, clarify with the team they have today.
Well,
in general.
You just have with where the organization's at. Mm-hmm. You have to imagine the Angels will be aggressive again. Let's say history repeats itself and they're able to sign a Kikuchi type. I haven't looked at the free agents yet, but a 3-year, $60 million deal. Let's say there's going to be a couple pitchers that get added, maybe another guy in the $10 to $15 million range. Maybe let's just say the Angels did that in the offseason.
I think that if the Angels were able to bolster their starting rotation, that yes, they could, because I feel like, well, we just went over the numbers at the top of the show, right? Like, we're actually kind of right there. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of teams that are kind of right there. right? We've got like 5 to 7 teams that we would need to, leapfrog, even though we're only 4.5 back of the wild card. But we are kind of right there with what we have now. So adding another arm or two to the starting rotation, yes, I feel like we could be there in 2026.
Okay, so I agree with you. And but I'm going to leave my opinion out of it. If you think you're close and think that you can be a playoff team in 2026, forget 25 for a minute, then you're going to want Taylor Ward on your roster next year. And obviously the extra year of team control is something that a lot of clubs value. My question is, how big is the gap if you trade Taylor Ward today, or you fast forward 365 days, now you're at next year's trade deadline and you're in the same spot? You're not going to get quite as much return, but you'd still get a pretty good value. Ward is high. You could do this. You could do it a year from now. I guess that's what I'm getting at with Taylor Ward. If you think that you have a chance in 2026, Joe Adell, it's a little bit different. I feel like I actually think the Angels might be selling low on Adell if they sell Adell. Just the adjustments he's made and the mindset and the kind of baseball player he's become. I was talking with him on my podcast, and he was saying that it's not about let's hit a home run as far as I can. I'm trying to stay up the middle and go to right center. I'm like, oh my gosh, Joe Adell, you've arrived. You're here. This is what I've been waiting years for you to be talking about. It was great. I think and then I think you would be selling low on Detmers too, because you're selling the dream on Detmers that he's going to be a starter, an impactful starter there. So I think that there's a little bit of that. That's valuable, though. There's a lot of teams that think that they could take Reed Detmers and make him an impactful starter right away. Sure. The only way that I would trade any of those guys would be if I'm going to get a piece back that I think is going to be in my starting rotation in 2026. It starts and ends there. Like if you can get some 24-year-old that you think could be a starter for you next year, and you can get that, I'm all ears, because pitching is so valuable. But I don't. If that's not out there, I don't see the Angels making that move.
So, Chuck, I gave my 2 cents on where I thought they would be next year. What's your answer to Trent's question?
I went into this podcast with the mindset of selling. I mean, all the chips in, let's sell. That doesn't necessarily mean Detmers and Adell, but Taylor Ward too, right? And all the guys we're going to lose, right? Free agency. But the way you asked that question, Trent, I started thinking, and I'm starting to kind of lean toward you both in that if the answer is yes, there's a chance for them to compete next year. And to your point, they will add players in the offseason. Why not? And also, I didn't look at the schedule after the Rangers. I had no idea the White Sox were coming in after this. I didn't look that far ahead because my mind has just been zeroed in on this trade deadline, And you're right. If they win this series, holy hell, I mean, wouldn't it be fun to have some meaningful baseball in August and September, potentially?
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to bang the drum and say, bye, let's go. We're right there. I'm not saying that, but I am. Yeah.
Trent, we brought you on here to be the John Bonham for this podcast. We want a drum solo here.
I'm just saying, very good. I'm just saying, like, if you were to buy, it's a longer term buy because you're looking at the future here, and that's where what Fangraphs say, 4% chance to make the playoffs for the Angels this year. Let's just be real about it. It's a long shot. It's not impossible. Right. It's a long shot. But if you feel like, okay, you're making those steps and 2026 is a reality, and you could still trade some of your expiring pieces, but you kind of want to keep it as close together as you can to build that momentum, take that into the offseason, try to be somewhere near 500, whether you make the playoffs or not. I think that's totally doable, to be in that, 75 to 82 win range. Like, why couldn't the Angels be there? So yeah, let's see what this team can do now. Try to acquire, some pieces in the offseason, and then in a year from now, if you feel like you got to trade Taylor Ward, then you trade Taylor Ward then. I just don't think you have to do it coming up on Thursday.
And it's so funny, again, to our earlier conversation. It all really also depends on how they do the next 2 games. If they
Yeah. You can't lose the next 2 nights. You lose the next 2 nights, it's like, man, now you're 5.5, 6 back at the deadline. You're 4 under 500. Like that's
sell everybody. Take a bucket of balls with you on the way out.
Boy, Rangifo's home run last night meant a lot for how we're feeling about right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be an interesting 72 hours for sure for this team, and for the league, like to see what other moves are made. And does a chess piece that's moved by another team maybe cause the Angels to do something that they didn't have on their radar or didn't intend to, because they now see a different path again? And maybe it's not even for this season. Maybe it's for next season or the season after.
I mean, it's hard to do, but if you can get a jump start in the winter now,
yeah,
I mean, I think that would be a prudent thing to do. But it might not be in the cards. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So then you deal with it. You deal with it then. But I don't, regardless, like, I'd be shocked if the big move were to happen one way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to add with the thought of you're getting a player return that can help the team next year and in maybe 27, right? That means the Angels would have to include some of their prospects as well, in addition to guys that are, going to help a team that's in the playoff hunt, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at, and maybe it'll unfold that way, and I hope it does. That the Angels get somebody, again, to my earlier point, that you can plug and play. If you traded Taylor Ward, you get a young outfielder that you can plug right into left field, right? Somebody that's been tearing up AA or AAA, and someone that you can just put right in there. Or if you can package Tyler Anderson and Jansen together and, Moncada, whatever, Rengifo, and get like a starting pitcher, right, that you can plug in, why not?
Well, if you feel like the Angels might not have the prospects now, or maybe you don't want to deplete that too much, maybe you're okay dealing 1 or 2 guys, but don't want to go too deep in that. I mean, if you could get a couple by trading some of those other guys to be able to make a nicer package to go get somebody with longer term value, like you could simultaneously buy and sell at the same time.
Right.
And so it's just here we are though, having this conversation. The Angels are in the middle. It's a lot better than being at the bottom where the Angels were a year ago. But I think it also shows us that there's still a lot of work to do with this club, even with the progress they're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take that as a great jumping off spot to move on from the trade deadline and kind of talk about the team. Again, the last time that we had Trent on was right before the season started, and we were kind of making predictions for what we thought might happen. Trent, what are your impressions of the team, where they are now compared to how you thought that they were going to be as we entered the 2025 campaign? Is this about what you were expecting? Are there things that surprised you? What's kind of your outlook on where they're at and how they're progressing?
Yeah, this, like, win-loss wise, this is about what I thought they would be, to be honest with you, which is dramatically better than a year ago, but still, just kind of out of the playoff mix. And that's where the Angels are. Again, that could change 2 days from now.
Sure.
But this is the way this year has gone, hovering around 500 most of the year. That's about what I thought this team had a chance to be. The bullpen that I thought was going to be a strength of the team hasn't been. Very different characters now than who we were talking about in March. But for a while, for like 6 weeks there, the Angels bullpen was dominant. Now they've gotten worked a bunch. I mean, I don't think anybody could have seen, the Ron Washington, Ray Montgomery thing happening. Like, nobody saw that coming. I thought this team would be better defensively, to be honest with you. That'd be the one area they're slugging. This is a better hitting team than I thought they were going to be. I did not think there was this kind of power on this team. They've exceeded my expectations on the hitting side. I thought the defense would be better, and the pitching is pretty much where I kind of thought they had a chance to be.
Yeah. Chuck, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that I was like you. I did predict the bullpen would be a great asset, this team. I also didn't believe that the Angels were going to be third or fourth in the league in home runs. Um, you know, and one of my predictions earlier on, and I know you'll get to yours, Jeff, is I did predict though that the Angels would have 7 of their 9 guys in the lineup with 20 or more home runs. So that included Shanuel. And so he's only got 8. So he needs to get on a power, because I was including Adele. I was including Ohapi, who's going to get there, right? Ward, Trout's going to get there any minute. Neto. So, yeah, the power it's pretty impressive when you look up and down. You look at the lineup and you're like, dang, there's a lot of guys that's got some pop. But, again, the defense has been a disappointment, a big disappointment. Losing Trout in right field, he's exclusively a DH. So Lair hasn't been what we wanted him to be. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. And so, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you, Trent, in that, I kind of had them just hovering around 500, maybe a little bit below. So it's pretty much what I expected.
Yeah. So my big prediction for the year was a bounce back season for Reed Detmers. And as much crap as I've taken for that prediction, I still kind of say I was right. He has bounced back. Not how we thought he was going to. Obviously, I thought it was going to happen in the starting rotation, and it just didn't. But what he's been able to do for this team out of the pen has been something pretty special. And we're now at that point, I think, where we're having the conversations of what do you do with this guy? Do you try him again in the starting rotation and see if he's, got a little bit of his mojo back, because there's some confidence that he's built up over the last several months being successful out of the bullpen? Or do you look at that and go, the guy's killing it in the pen. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Having a good pen is important. Leave him there and leverage that. And my answer is, much like the trade deadline, I don't know. I'm really not even sure what to do. I think I lean more toward, at least for the balance of this year, is you leave him where he's at, right? Unless the team falls dreadfully, behind, goes on a losing streak, we're hitting late August, early September, they're out of it. Maybe now you slide him in to see, okay, is there something that we can build upon here for next season? But as long as they're still kind of clicking away, I don't know that you move them. I don't know, Trent. Your thoughts on
Jeff,
that?
I think you nailed it. So let's just assume the Angels, maybe they add 1 starter, 2 starters in the winter. I need Reed Detmers in my 2026 rotation. I need that guy he is so good. He has made so much progress. He got some confidence. He got some swag back. I love that from Reed Detmers. He's got some of that going right now.
Yeah.
I want to see him in my 2026 rotation. But Jeff, I'm totally with you. I would not build him up to start this year unless the Angels were to completely fall out of the race. If they completely fall out of the race, you try to throw him, you give him a bone and let him start 1 or 2 games at the end of the year, maybe. But if they're in the mix, don't mess what's working. It's been working for Reed Detmers, and he's had, I think, maybe he had those 3 outings that were horrible.
Right.
But other than that, he has been dominant. Even when, he had he gave up a run the other day, but he'd gone 21 innings before he gave up a run. So I've loved what we've seen from Reed Detmers. Jeff, I think you nailed that. I'm going to give you credit. I think that's, you said a bounce back for Reed Detmers. It was just a different kind of bounce back.
I love it. See, Chuck, the arbitrator has spoken. I was correct in my prediction.
Well, hey, mine's not too far off.
Yours was good too. Totally good. Trent, do you remember any of your predictions that you made on the podcast?
No, I'm trying to. No, I do remember. I said the bullpen was going to be the strength of this
right,
team.
You did.
I did say that. That
there
I do remember. And I had a 6-week run where I was kind of right. and the rest of the season has not been that.
Yep.
Yeah, it hurted. Ben Joyce going down with injury, that kind of hurt the bullpen.
And Stevenson,
Stevenson,
to have him,
right.
he pitch in 2 games, it's
right.
like, man,
Zephyr John was like unhittable for the longest time, and then he started giving up a bunch of bombs. Yeah.
I also thought Ryan Johnson. I thought Ryan Johnson was going to be back.
That's right. That's right.
So I like Ryan Johnson a lot. I think he's going to end up. He could contend for like spring training next year. I'm not ready to have a spring training discussion, but by next season, when you're thinking about Johnson, Brebner, Clausen, Dana, like you're going to have
Detmers.
some. Of course, Detmers, yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that's 5 guys right there that could all be like pretty dang good starters in the big leagues that are gonna be fighting for a job. That's kind of a nice thing. It's just we're just maybe a little early on some of that.
I like that. Yeah, I think so. And then maybe you do something with Kohanowitz. Maybe that was my other prediction. I predicted Kohanowitz was gonna be the second best starter. Oh well. I mean,
just missed it.
Yeah, he had 4 no-hit innings last night. 4 2/3 no-hit last night.
He did. He looked better. He did give up a lot of walks. He was effectively wild, as they say. So, but yeah, I think that getting back to Detmers, there's an argument to have that he can be a Josh Hader type back end closer if they add starting pitching in the offseason, Trent, if some of these guys like Clausen, Ryan Johnson, who's looked great as a starter, once they sent him down to high A, add a starter. You got Kikuchi, you got Soriano, one of those young guys, 2 of those young guys. Now you got a full starting rotation. Detmers is your closer because Jansen won't be here next year. And then you got Detmers, you got hopefully maybe Joyce is back, Zephyr John. Bachman, who's looked pretty damn good. I mean, he's throwing the ball really well.
Jansen could be here next year, by the way.
He actually likes it from everybody.
Of course he likes it here. Of course he likes it here. He gets to save all the time. He's getting tons of save chances. I mean, I know he wants every time he pitches, he wants it to be a save chance, but he's 19 of 20. 500 is within striking distance. Wants to be in Southern California. Like I could see Jansen coming back.
Yeah. I'd like that.
I mean, even if you were to be traded, I could see Jansen wanting to come back. It's just because the situation of being here and getting the opportunity to close all the time. I don't know how many clubs he'd get that opportunity to be the full-time closer.
Right. Yeah.
Chuck, you had brought it up. You had touched on it a bit, the challenges in the outfield. Let's talk about that for a minute. It has been rough out there this season. Last night, specifically. Trent, are you hearing anything relative to, is Mike Trout going to go back into the outfield at any point this year? Or is he done and just won't be playing the field and is going to be a permanent DH going forward?
Well, he was trying to build back up. And then in New York, dealt with some knee pain. So then he went back to, okay, we're not going to try defense anymore. All right. And he has made comments about, hey, 60 or, 50 something, whatever games left that he wants to be out there at some point. I think to get Soler back, Trout needs to be in the outfield. I mean, we'll see what happens there, but it's created an interesting logjam and not interesting in a good way because like the Angels need Mike Trout to play right field.
Yeah.
With Soler as a DH, you do need Trout to get some DH time. I would have loved to have seen a scenario where you could have O'Hoppe DH some this year and you get more games with d'Arnaud behind the plate, especially if you're getting to a playoff run. You could be a little bit more creative with that DH position instead of having it just in ink. It's Mike Trout every single day. You need Trout in the field to open up that spot to get Soler in the lineup without having to play in the outfield and to have O'Hoppe and d'Arnaud in your lineup too. I mean, defensively right now, you need Travis d'Arnaud in a big game. You need Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate.
Right.
You still want O'Hoppe's bat, so you need him to DH, and it's just kind of created an opportunity where the Angels just haven't been able to maximize their roster because of it. And at the end of the day, you'd take Mike Trout playing for you, even if it means DHing. You need Mike Trout in that lineup.
Sure.
But there's a ripple effect here.
Yeah, I mean, just the need for a competent outfielder out there that you can, it's like you're sitting watching at home and you see the ball come off the bat going in the outfield. You're like, oh Lord.
I don't want to speak for you guys, but Joe has improved in center field, but Joe Adele in right field, I have no issue, right? He was a Gold Glove finalist last year. He's good out there.
Yeah.
If you were to bring in a defense first center fielder to kind of patrol that, I think it takes a lot of the pressure off everybody. I think you feel a lot better in right field if Adele is there. Then now you're not sweating every time there's a fly ball, because I think you trust Adele in right. It's just center has been a work in progress, and you just need that center field anchor. And that's been something the Angels just haven't really had this year.
Well, since we're not getting any real production really from right field, I wonder if the Angels will entertain the thought of bringing up Nelson Rada and put him in center field. He's
having a good offensive year.
And he's having a better offensive year. And you just forget about the bat, right? Forget about the bat. He's there for defense, and let him grow in the game offensively. The guy can get on base. He can steal bases. That's something, aside from Neto, we haven't had, right? And so bat him ninth, but he's there for defense, and Adele goes back to right field, and then Trout's your DH, and if he wants to get some games in at right field and DH Adele here and there and whatever, I wonder if the Angels will look at that maybe in September or something, or, you look at Rada, he's what, 19, 20, going on 20.
I know he's young.
Yeah.
If Rada can play defense, and we know he can, if he can patrol center field, bunt and run, there's value. There's enough sluggers on this team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Where you can have that, because you're getting it, and that's usually what the catcher is. But the Angels catcher happens to be a really good hitter, so you don't lose that spot, and you can sacrifice one in your lineup somewhere for the sake of defense. I totally could see something like that happening.
I'd like to see that. I mean, there's an argument against it. Saying, oh well, let's don't rush him. Let's let him grow in the minor leagues and work on his game and stuff. But
if he can catch the ball, then hey, you can put him out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Trent, how's this year been for you in your role with the team? And one of the things I noted as I was kind of making notes today earlier of things that I wanted to talk about was maybe specifically around this being the first year under FanDuel, right? The FanDuel network. Has that been different for you or for the rest of the broadcast team? Is it kind of the same with just a new name and logo? What have things looked like for you guys this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of the changes are more on like the business end and the way it's distributed and how you get that. And there's in the ever-changing times of our media landscape. And it's true, like it's until 2028, it's kind of, there's a lot going on here in the bigger picture. And there's been some differences, like the games have been on Sundays locally. You've been able to watch on Channel 13 here in Southern California. So that's been cool. There have been a few things. I think the direct-to-consumer streaming option that FanDuel has is pretty neat. Haven't had that before. But as far as like the operation, it's the same producers, it's the same directors, it's the same on-air folks, it's the same people in the truck. So, and a lot of those same people go back to the Fox Sports West days. Obviously, there have been some there's been some changes on the air, but a lot of people that are putting these games together have been doing Angels baseball for a long, long time. So in that regard, I don't think it's that different. I'll find out. I'm filling in for Erica in the Detroit series. So
okay.
We'll see how that goes, and I'll spend a little bit more time with them. But I think like generally, like just the way the games are done, they're being produced and done by the same people that have been doing them. So I think consistency has been a good thing.
Yeah.
You're still doing the Angel Talk, right? After the post-game show. What are some favorite moments?
Well, anytime anytime we get Robbie in East Long Beach to hit me up with a trade proposal, that always makes me smile. Because every once in a while he'll surprise me and be like, actually, you know what, that could check out. That's pretty good. We were at Brewery X on Sunday, and we've been doing a bunch of shows over there. And we had the Halo Boys show up, the Angels in the Outfield, the guys that are dressing like Angels. They showed up and came to that. And John, the head angel, came to see me. And that was a lot of fun having that kind of interaction. And just different fun stuff there at the ballpark. I mean, the whole point is just to have as much fan interaction. And I truly treat my role as an opportunity to be that bridge, to connect the fans to the team. That's what I'm here to do. So if that means spending a ton of time hanging out at a brewery, having a couple pops after a show and just talking some Angels baseball together, if I'm going to do that, heck yeah, I'm going to do that. I think it's a lot of fun to be able to have that platform to spend the time together. So that's actually been really a neat thing this year. That's cool. Well, you do a great job at it. I mean, we really appreciated hanging out with you and your time down in Tempe during spring training. That was a lot of fun.
Indeed.
That's fun. I mean, look, hey, here we are. Like, I am unbelievably blessed to have this connection to the team I grew up loving as a kid, and being from Southern California. It's like, it's amazing what I get to do. So if I get to hear some stories and share them with some people, I mean, we're no different. We all love the Angels. We want to see this team do well. I just happen to work here every day. So, okay, if I can share some stories and help bring people a little closer together, we all love this team. It's like we're all friends. We're all hanging out. Right. I love it. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, indeed. So last question for you, Trent. I mean, obviously you're connected with the team. You're interviewing the players and in the clubhouse. Any cool, fun stories, lighthearted, that you could share? I mean, obviously not if it's something that's a personal thing that players don't want you to share, but any kind of cool stories that you've come across, things that you've seen that you could share with the fans.
Well, I don't know that I can think of like one specific thing. I'm sure there is, but I wish my memory was better. But I will tell you the overall dynamic that I've been able to grasp here with this group has been beautiful. Like, obviously Mike Trout is the leader in there, and everyone really respects Mike. Zach Neto has taken a little bit more of a leadership role, but like in a goofy way too. And all these guys love busting on Zach Neto, and Zach has no problem like dishing it right back. So he and credit to Zach. He dishes it more than anybody, but he can take it too. You got to be able to take it. That's what I like about Zach Neto. Logan O'Hoppe is that guy. I think Logan is a lot funnier than he lets on in interviews. Logan. I mean, he's like an all-American, exactly what you want leadership type, but he can be a bit of a goofball too, which is fun. And I love the role that Nolan Shonowell has taken with these guys, because he is he's become the punching bag, and like he's leaned into that. Like, the guys make fun of him all the time, and he like brings it on himself. Like, he welcomes that, and he's cool about it. So I think that's kind of a fun little dynamic. I was talking with Yusei Kikuchi the other day, and Yusei, and I'm like, who's your best friend on the team? And he's like, oh, it's Zach Neto for sure. And I'm like, I didn't see that coming. He's not a pitcher. They won't speak Japanese. Zach doesn't. But apparently Zach did learn a couple of words in Japanese, and they have some fun interacting with one another. So who knows? I mean, like, this is a group genuinely that it's not really cliquey. The guys all kind of hang out. They all have fun. Yeah. There's a closeness that matters. So yeah, I don't want to give like the cliche answer there, but I think it genuinely is. There's a closeness with this group. It's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah,
that's awesome to hear. Actually.
Thank you for that insight. Yeah, that was one of my favorite questions when we had Tim Mead every year at spring training. Is like, give us some inside stuff. Not some lighthearted, funny stories, within the clubhouse that the fans don't get to hear about. And thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah, the guys are awesome. It makes it fun, and that's what it should be.
Yeah.
we don't get to see like the humor of baseball all the
Right.
time. You're not seeing, you're not getting, cleats aren't getting lit on fire in the dugout anymore. Like I miss those days of
No
baseball.
Bert Blyleven walking around with a hot foot.
The hot foot doesn't happen anymore. It's a shame, but they're still like these guys still have a good time, and they take their work seriously. There's a hard-working group, but they can relax a little bit too. It's cool.
It's so important to take what you do seriously, but to not take yourself seriously.
Yes, that's it. Jed, you nailed it. That's it right there.
See,
100%.
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you wrap up a podcast. Trent, anything you'd like to share with anybody, how they can catch you, listen to you on different platforms and stuff?
Yeah, we're doing the post-game show after every Angels home game, Angels recap. Call us, our number 714-283-8830. Happy to talk to anybody all the time. I love it. Angels baseball, it's great. The podcast I alluded to before, the Under the Halo podcast, has been a real treat this year. We've gotten to know the guys on a really deep level, and we have some fun ones coming up. I'm probably not supposed to spoil it, but there was a player, Jeff, that you're a big fan of that you thought might have a breakout season that may be joining us on an upcoming pod.
A mystery player. I wonder who it could be.
We had Trout and Hoppy together, and watching that dynamic was fascinating.
Nice.
Neto and Sean, so that podcast has been really cool. So check out the Under the Halo podcast.
All right. Available on all of your streaming platforms. Check it out. Trent, thank you as always for being a friend of the website and the program. It's great having you on, and maybe we'll have you back during the hot stove season and we can talk about what the Angels need to be doing.
I look forward to that, and I hope I don't get crushed too bad in the message boards. I'll try to.
Never.
Our guys like you.
Thanks.
All right, we're 1 minute away from first pitch of Game 2 against the Rangers. Chuck, excellent episode. Well done, my friend.
Absolutely.
Remember, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. For Chuck Richter, I'm Jeff Stoddart. Good night.
Thanks for listening to the AngelsWin.com podcast with Chuck Richter and Jeff Stoddart. Until next time, go Halos.